Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today it's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, October 4th. There's almost 500 albums coming out this week. I got 14 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 500 albums coming out this week. Only going to talk about 14 on the show though today, so if there's something I don't talk about you're looking forward to this week, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what that is. And like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section. You can always also go over to the Vinyl Den Amazon page. I've got all pre-orders on there. There's new releases on there, a bunch of other cool stuff to check out. Other than the 14 albums I'm going to talk about, there is a bunch of stuff coming out this week for Rhino Rocktober. I think there's 20 or 25 titles coming out this week. There's I know the Black Sabbath release is coming out this week. There's a Bush release I'm looking forward to. A couple other of those. I'm not going to talk about those releases on the show though today. I did a whole episode about that a while back. I'll put a link up above if you want to go check that one out. But there is a really nice box set coming out this week that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Actually, probably last month I talked about this. It was supposed to come out, I think, the second week in September. It looks like it got pushed back to this week. But this is Jimi Hendrix, Electric Lady Studios, a Jimi Hendrix Vision. This is a new 5 LP, 1 Blu-ray box set. It's going to run about $120. So Jimi Hendrix built Electric Lady Studios and finally finished it. I think he started it in I think it was 68 or 69 when he started it. He didn't complete the studio until right before his death in 1970. So what you're getting in this box set, there's 39 tracks in this, but 38 of them are all unreleased. This is all stuff he recorded in the months prior to his death. It looks like a pretty cool release. It does come with comes with a Blu-ray with a documentary on there. Of course, after he died, there's a bunch of great iconic albums that were recorded at that recording studio. I'm a big Jimi Hendrix fan. I have been ever since I was a kid. So I probably won't pick up this box set. I think it's all going to be available on streaming though, so I will check that out. Maybe eventually if it comes up on sale somewhere, I'll grab a copy of it. And then you also got the new release from Coldplay, Moon Music, coming out this week. It is their 10th studio album. It's a bunch of different variants. I know there's a store variant, store exclusive variant. There's a Amazon exclusive. There's an indie store exclusive also. So multiple different versions to pick from that one. It's going to run you about $28 online. So this is part 2 of their Music of the Spheres series that they started with. I think their first part came out back in 2021, which was From Earth with Love. I know it was met with a lot of really mixed reviews. I haven't been a big fan of pretty much anything Coldplay has done since the beginning of their career, but I'll stream this one and check it out this week and see what it. I haven't listened to the part 1 either, so I'll stream both those and check them out. The next release is one I've been kind of on the fence about, just because I have a Walmart exclusive version of this that came out. I think it was 2019 when this came out that Walmart released it, and my copy sounds okay. But I know it's been reissued a couple of times through Walmart, and some of the other reissues, there's been a lot of sound issues with them. So I'm definitely interested to check out this new one to see how this compares to the old one. But this is a reissue of Purple by Stone Temple Pilots. Came out back in 1994. It was their second studio album. This is on white with purple splatter. It's going to run you about $25 online. This is an Amazon exclusive. So as much as I loved Core, their debut album, I think Purple, I've long considered Purple a more complete album. Even though there's a couple of tracks on Core I prefer over Purple, but I think beginning to end, Purple is an incredible album. It's one of my top, probably 25 albums of the 90s. Like I said, because of that Walmart reissue and the sound qualities that's had, for $25, I'll probably end up grabbing a copy of it. Like I said, just because I want to compare this one to that older pressing. And then there's also Boyz II Men Christmas Interpretations coming out. Came out back in 1993. It was technically their second studio album, but it's their first Christmas album. It's going to run you about $28 online. I know it's October. We haven't even gotten to Halloween yet, and we're already talking about Christmas. There's Christmas albums coming out this week. There's Christmas albums coming out next week, and pretty much every week till the end of the year. So, but with this one, this album has become a R&B Christmas classic. I mean, I think there's only one or two Christmas, like traditional Christmas songs on here. The rest of them are all new releases or new tracks that they put together for this album. You know, it sold a lot. It sold a couple million copies. I think it hit number 19 on the Billboard 200. You know, if you're like me, big fan of Christmas music, this is definitely one to grab. There's a couple of jazz albums coming out this week. The second one is, I guess I wouldn't really consider it a jazz album, but I'll get to that here in a second. But the first one is Dave Brubeck, Time Out. Came out back in 1959. It's going to run you about $22 online. This is a groundbreaking jazz album when it was released. You know, it really established Dave as one of the best jazz musicians of his generation. Kind of widely seen as one of the best jazz albums of all time. The song Take 5 is one of the best-selling singles of all time also. So, you know, if you're a jazz fan, you know, you probably already have this one in your collection. If you don't, though, it's a cool one to check out. I will say I've got the Analog Productions pressing of this, so I mean, I don't really care what they ever release. There's never going to be a better sounding version than that Analog Productions. It's easily one of the best sounding albums in my collection. But so you got that first one. And then the second one, this is a kind of interesting one. This is Chet Baker, Blood, Chet, and Tears. This was released back in 1970. It's a Verb by Request series release. Pressed at Third Man Records here in Detroit. It's going to run you about $30 online. This is definitely a different kind of album. So Chet was one of the driving forces behind the popularity of cool jazz. But by 1970, music was really changing, and he kind of wanted to change with it. So I guess the best way to describe this album, I wouldn't really call this a jazz album. It's more like like an easy listening album. It's really, really different. There's a really interesting cover of Something on here by the Beatles. Like I said, if you're a jazz fan, if you're a Chet Baker fan, check this one out. Stream it and check it out. Like I said, it's very different than what I was expecting the first time I listened to it, because I'd listened to several Chet Baker albums over the years, and then this is one I didn't listen to until this album was announced earlier this year that it was getting reissued. So I went back and streamed it, and like I said, I was very surprised by this album. There's a couple of my favorite Neil Young albums, both getting reissued this week. First one was Freedom, released back in 1989. It was his 19th studio album. It's going to run you about $33 online. This album really relaunched Neil's career. For the decade before this album, his sales really dropped off, and really kind of in the mainstream, he really wasn't releasing any really significant music. And then he came out with Freedom, and Freedom was very much like a mixture of this like older rebellious sound with really politically charged lyrics, but blended with this harder sound. It was almost like a early grunge album. It's got "Rockin' the Free World" on it, which quickly became an iconic track of his. It hit number 35 in the Billboard 200. It was a big album. Like I said, it was the album that really kind of restarted his career. And then you also got Ragged Glory coming out, released back in 1990. It was his 20th studio album. This was a little bit more money. It's going to run you about $48 online. Like sonically, it's kind of a continuation of what he was doing on Freedom. And, I think it was Rolling Stone had this listed as like the 36th best grunge album of all time. But it has this like more, I guess, kind of raw live sound to it, because the way they recorded this album was Neil and Crazy Horse went into the recording studio, and over it was like 6 or 7 weeks that they did this, where they would have 2 recording sessions, where they'd record one session in the morning, one session, later in the day. And they would never repeat any of the songs. They would just kind of go back through and pick out the songs they liked, or the versions they liked best from each one of those sessions. So I think it kind of gave the album kind of a unique sound. I think that's why it's one of his best albums he ever did. There's also the new EP from Motley Crüe coming out this week. This is Canceled. This is going to be on red and black splatter vinyl. It's going to run you about $22 online. So this is the band's first release of new material since they released Saints of Los Angeles back in 2008. I guess I should backtrack a little bit. I guess they did release 3 new tracks on the Dirt soundtrack back in 2019. But I guess that's the thing that kind of gets me about this release. I don't know why they didn't just take those 3 tracks and the 3 tracks that are on this and just kind of put them together on a release. I don't know. It's Motley Crüe. They're going to do what they want to do. But, this is the band's first release with John 5 as an official member since, he replaced the retiring Mick Mars in 2022. John 5 did collaborate with them on those 3 tracks on the Dirt soundtrack, but I don't remember if he actually played on them. I don't know if he just collaborated or he played on them or what the deal was. It's been a long time since I listened to the soundtrack. So, this has Dogs of War on there, which was the single that came out, earlier this year. It's got the single Canceled on there. It's also got a cover of the Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right. So you know, I wasn't a big fan of Dog's War when I heard it earlier this year, but I'll at least stream those other two and check them out this week. Then you also got Foreigner, Turning Back the Time coming out. This is a new greatest hits compilation. It's going to run you about $33 online. There's a black version of this. There's also a clear indie exclusive version that's coming out. It's a 2 LP release. So the band is putting this together and releasing this in honor of being inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, which I would say is long overdue. I think they should have been in quite a few years ago, but I get it. You can't induct everyone at the same time. So everyone, you know, some bands are going to have to wait. This is a new career-spanning compilation that they put together. It does have a new track on here. The new track is Turning Back the Time. So I guess the story behind this track, it goes all the way back to 1996. Lou Gramm just got together and reworked it. Mick Jones is on this also. You know, this compilation has all their best tracks on there. I'm at least interested in checking out the new song though. You know, I've been a big fan of Foreigner for a long time. I already have their studio albums that I really love though, so I guess I don't need to grab a compilation. Like I said, I'll stream and check out that new song. There's also a reissue of Friction Baby by Better and Ezra coming out this week. This was released back in 1996. It was their third studio album. It's going to be on tan vinyl. It's going to run you about $37 online. This is the follow-up to their big breakthrough album, Deluxe, which was the album that everyone knows by Better and Ezra. This album, I think, really kind of established, at least for a very short period of time, Better and Ezra is one of the biggest bands, at least here in the U.S. You know, I think the really interesting thing is about this album is, so the title of this came from a Keith Richards interview, and I actually saw the interview with Keith Richards before this album was released. But so what happened in the interview was they were asking Keith Richards how he could kind of deal with Mick Jagger for as long as he had, and he kind of like paused for a long time, took a hit off his cigarette, and just said "Friction, baby." I just thought it was a great kind of line. That's why when this album came out, I thought it was really hilarious that they named it that. But you know, I haven't listened to this album in a really long time, so it's another one I'll add to my list to stream this week. And you also got Jakob Dylan, Women in Country, coming out, released back in 2010. It was his second solo studio album. It's going to be on gray vinyl. This is a music on vinyl release. So it's going to be a little more. It's going to run you about $40 online. It is limited to 1,500 copies. So the interesting thing about this album was this was produced by T-Bone Burnett, which was Jakob Dylan's dad, Bob Dylan's guitarist in the 70s. So it's kind of cool that there was a connection between the two. To be completely honest, I didn't even know Jakob had a solo career, so you know, I definitely need to check this one out. And his other, I think there's 2 other albums that he's done. And then the last 2 albums I got on my list this week are both new greatest hits compilations. The first one was Eddie Money, Take Me Home Tonight. This is a new career spanning greatest hits compilation. It's going to run you about $28 online. It's going to be on yellow and pink vinyl. You know, packed full of some 80s classics. I mean, Take Me Home Tonight, 2 Tickets to Paradise are 2 great tracks. But you know, to be completely honest, I'm not all that familiar with some of the other tracks on this album, so I definitely need to go back through and check out his music more. You know, Eddie Money is one of those musicians where I'm probably good with just a greatest hits compilation and a couple of those really classic 80s soundtracks that he's on also. But you know, I might grab that one this week. Like I said, it's only $28. And the last one I got on the list is Jefferson Starship / Starship. So you're getting a greatest hits compilation from both of those bands, even though they're pretty much the same band. This is Now Playing. So it's going to run you about $20. So these Now Playing compilations that have been coming out, there have been quite a few of these that have come out over the last probably 2 years. It's kind of seen as, it's kind of put together as almost like a really affordable way to get some really good music from a band on vinyl. So what these are, they're always just like 10 of the band's best tracks. So you got, I think there's 6 Jefferson Starship and 4 Starship songs on there. Both of those bands, I'm probably good with just a greatest hits compilation, even though I already have several of their studio albums. You know, so, you know, $20 is a good deal if you don't have any of their music. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to grabbing this week. To be completely honest, there are like several albums like that Stone Temple Pilots, that Boyz II Men. I'll probably end up grabbing Ragged Glory, but I'll have to wait a couple of weeks to grab those because, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's a bunch of great Rhino Rocktober stuff coming out this week. There's at least 3 or 4 albums that I've got pre-ordered, so maybe already an expensive week before I get to the new releases. So like I said, I might have to push a couple of those back a couple of weeks to grab those. I'm trying to stay within a budget, but you know, let me know what you guys are looking forward to grabbing this week. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.